Hey, shalom, shalom. Once again, we are the ISUPK under Command Jan Honda, stored at 1 West 125th Street Hall, New York, teaching blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians that you are the real Jews, the Jews of the Bible. That's who we are. I mean, 1 sec. Get this right. All right. Tonight's topic is on Islam. You know, Islam really they don't tell you the truth, right? But you really gotta go search and really study their religion and their culture to find out exactly who they are. And this series here or this class here is basically about black people, not black people, so-called African Americans, Hispanic people, anybody, not following Islam because it cannot help us, right? So one doctrine Islam teaches that they'll never tell you they teach is the abuse of women. Can they beat their wives, right? So we're going to go first to the Quran itself. We're going to go first to the Quran itself, and we're going to examine this topic on can they beat their wives. All right, let me go ahead and share this with you. All right, here we go. This is in the Quran. This is chapter 4, verse 34. Listen to what it says. It says, men are in charge of women by right of what Allah has given one over the other and what they spend for maintenance, meaning that by right from Allah, a man is greater than a woman. Right? I'll read again. Men are in charge of women by right of what Allah has given one over the other and what they spend for maintenance from their wealth. Meaning that if you spend money on your wife, you have charge over her, right? So righteous women are devoutly obedient, guarding in the husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. But those wives from whom you fear arrogance, not that they're arrogant, but you fear, keyword here, that they might be arrogant. First advise them, then if they persist, forsake them in bed. And finally, strike them. Strike them. Now, this part here, lightly, it does not say lightly. That's why it's in parentheses. This is them trying to clean it up. You understand? And this is the thing with Islam. They're always trying to clean it up. You see so many things in brackets that it doesn't say in the Arabic, right? If we go to the Arabic, right? Watch this. You see this lightly here? Let's look for it in the Arabic. The men are protectors. The women, you see, because women has bestowed, you see, they still put stuff in brackets. Allah. Some of them, right, let's get to the point. From their wealth. So righteous women are obedient, guarding in the unseen, that which orders them to guard, right? Allah and those whom you fear, their ill conduct. Then advise them and forsake them in the bed. And finally strike them. And finally strike them. Then if they obey you, do not seek against them. You see that? Then finally strike them. Where's the lightly? Where does it say lightly here? Again, that's just them lying to us. I mean, as if we can't pull this up ourselves. Look, this is new age. You can't hide this religion in the Arabic no more. I mean, we could find all the dirt on it. But if they obey you, once more, seek no means against them. Indeed, Allah is ever exalted and grand. You know what I mean? So here in the Quran itself, it tells you can strike them. You can physically hit them, right? So now we're gonna go to we're gonna go to a account in the hadiths as to something that happened, right? We're gonna compare this. Watch this. Watch this. Give me one sec. Let's go to this hadith here. Is this it? This looks like it. Yep. So we're not at sunnah.com. These are hadiths. A hadith is a saying from their so-called prophet, right? This is a hadith. Watch what it says here in this hadith. It says, Rifa divorced his wife, whereupon Abu Rahim bin Azurbar al-Qurazi married her, right? So Rifa'ah divorced his wife, and then another man, Abdul Rahman bin Azubar, married her. This happens in Islam. So, for example, in Islam, just so you know, if you divorce your wife and you want to remarry her, she has to go and have sex with another man first. This is Islam, right? She has to go have sex with another man first, and then she may remarry you. And we're going to see some of it here. So Aisha is the wife of Muhammad, said that the lady came wearing a green veil and complained to her. Complained to who? Aisha. So this woman whose husband had divorced her and she remarried to another man, she came to complain to Aisha of her husband and showed her a green spot on her skin caused by beating. Caused by what? Beating. It was the habit of ladies to support each other. So when Allah's messenger came, so it was the habit of ladies to support each other because they were being beaten. So they would try to support each other. So they came to Aisha. So when Allah's messenger came, so now the Prophet Muhammad came, Aisha said, I have not seen any woman suffering as much of believing women. Again, Aisha said to Muhammad, I have not seen any woman suffering as much as believing women. Why? Because believing women or so-called Muslims were being beaten. That's why she's saying that. It's not because you let a Muslim woman tell you today or some Muslim tell you today. Women are treated nicely and, justly in Islam. This is in the time of Muhammad. This is Aisha, his wife, saying to Muhammad, I have not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing woman. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes. Why? Because her husband had beaten her. When Abdul Rahman, the man who beat her, heard that his wife had gone to the Prophet, he came with his 2 sons from another wife. What did he come with? 2 sons from another wife. Now you have to pay attention as to why he's coming with 2 sons from another wife. She said, by Allah, I have done no wrong to him, but he is impotent and is as useless to me as this. And she holding and showing a fringe on her garment. Right? So the fringe, if you hold the fringe, what happens to the fringe? It falls. So she's saying to Muhammad, I have done no wrong to him, but he is impotent, meaning that he suffers from erectile dysfunction. And it's as useless to me as this. So when she holds the fringe falls, meaning that basically he can't keep it up. Right? This is Islam. Abdul Rahman said, by Allah, O Allah's messenger, she has told a lie. I'm very strong and can satisfy her, but she is disobedient. So why did he come up with 2 sons? Because his 2 sons, from another wife, because he wants them as proof that he's not impotent. I mean, but she is disobedient and wants to go back to Rifah. Rifah was who? The one who divorced her first. So he's saying she only married me so she could go back to her husband. Because in Islam's law, again, if a woman is divorced by her husband, she has to have sex with another man before she could go back to her husband. Now, all that being said, she was beaten. She showed the marks on her, right? Now, what's going to be Muhammad's judgment? Is he going to say, hey, you should not beat her? Let's find out. Allah's messenger said to her, if that is your intention, what's her intention? To go back to Rifa'ah, her first husband. If that is your intention, then know that it is unlawful for you to remarry Rifa'ah unless Abdul Rahman has had sexual intercourse with you. Then the Prophet saw 2 boys with Abdul Rahman and asked him, are these your sons? And Abdul Rahman said, yes. And the Prophet said, you claim that you claim what you claim. That is, he is impotent. But by Allah, these boys resemble him as a crow resembles a crow. So basically, here you have it. He didn't reprove Abdul Rahman for beating her. He basically laid down his law that if you want to go back to your old husband, you must have sex with this man. You understand? By the way, Islam makes whores out of women. Islam makes whores out of women. You understand what I mean? So, so this is what it is, right? So now we're going to take you to another hadith. Again, here the woman was being beaten, but he didn't mention anything about the beating. So let's see something else. Hold on. Let's go to here now. Let's go to this hadith here. All right, here we go. So this is Muhammad, again, the so-called Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet of the Arabs who gives them laws. He says, somebody says, Iyas bin Abdullah, right, whatever the hell his name is, reported to the messenger of Allah as saying, do not beat Allah's handmaidens. So do not beat these women, right? But when Umar came to the messenger of Allah and said, women have become emboldened towards their husbands. They become emboldened. What does emboldened mean? They are not jumping every time he says, hey, go do this, go do that. They're showing resistance. He, the Prophet, gave permission to beat them. What did he give permission to do? Beat them. He gave permission to beat these women. Then many women came around the family of the messenger of Allah. So a lot of these women, they came around his family complaining against their husbands, saying, look, the prophet, the so-called prophet is telling our husbands to beat us. They're complaining now. So what does Muhammad do? So the messenger of Allah said, many women have gone around Muhammad's family complaining against their husbands. Speaking of those husbands who take the beatings, who was beating their wives, are not the best among you. Those husbands who take to beating their wives are not the best of you. But he's the one who told them to beat them. You understand? But now when he starts to get pressure, he says, well, those husbands are not the best. I mean, but it's by his laws that they're beating him. In fact, I'm going to show you one more before we go. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I mean, because this is all, to me, like, I got the order to teach a little bit on Islam, but it's all garbage to me. Islam is all garbage to me. You understand? I mean, this is not something that can help black people. right? But let me show you one more before we head out. I mean, let's show you this one here. All right, this is a direct order from the so-called Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet said, "A man will not be asked as to why he beat his wife. Don't even question him." You know what I mean? Don't even question why he beats his wife. It's none of your business. Why? Because it's his right to beat his wife. It is his right to beat his wife. So all these things they talk about where, you know, uh, women are treated fairly and good, and they make up anything they want. Muhammad was the first feminist. I heard somebody say he's the one who gives women rights first. This is what it says here. I mean, beat them, beat your wives. For you sisters trying to go and join this cult and go marry some Arab, you're gonna find out that they could beat you. I mean, you'll be. I'll give you a quick story. I had this slave at his job years ago in Georgia, and there was this young um, Somali girl. Her name was Fatima, right? She was Muslim, but she never practiced Muslim. She was the biggest 304 you could find, right? And you know, but she never practiced it. And so once in a while, once in a while, she would show up in full burqa. The burqa is where everything is covered. Very few, once in a blue moon, she show up and everything would be covered, head to toe, right? All of a sudden, she got religious, and then later on, she comes back to the skimpy outfits, and so forth, right? And this would happen very often. One day, she didn't show up to work, and you know, her husband called and was like, "Yeah, she had to go back to Somalia. She had to go handle some business." I was like, "Okay." I terminated her. So then, about 3 weeks later, she came back and she was like, "Yeah, I want my job back." I was like, "Yeah, you just up and left the job, right?" And so afterwards, I didn't give her the job back. But afterwards, a friend of hers was who also worked there was like called me naive. I said, "What do you mean that I'm naive?" She said, "You notice every few months, she'd wear that burqa, which means the head cover, like the whole covering. You can't even see her eyes, all black." She said, it's because her husband beats her. So when he beats her so bad, she has to wear that to cover all the bruises. And the last time, he just beat her so bad that she couldn't come to work. That's why he called you and lied and said she went to Somalia. That's how bad he beat her. She could not come to work. So when she healed, that's when she came back and wanted her job back. That is Islam. You understand what I mean? Like I said, I wasn't gonna hold y'all long. I just wanted to show y'all these very quick, you know, verses in their books justifying the beating of women. Once again, we are the ISUPK under Command Johanna, started at 1 West 125th Street, 1969, teaching blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians that we are the real Jews, and we got no business in Islam. Now, we got no business in Christianity. We need to go back to the laws of our forefathers, where we learned how to treat each other and how to love our brother as ourselves. With that, shalom.